So let's have a deeper look at the solar plexus chakra and the inner critic and strengths. So the solar plexus chakra represents self-worth, drive, and identity. Stories held in this chakra will represent themes of low self-worth, fear of criticism, guilt, fear of rejection and humiliation, confidence issues, a lack of drive or ambition, and we can really limit our success with the belief systems and inner critic that's held here. So if this chakra is out of balance, you may suffer from issues of low self-confidence and doubt in your abilities to make decisions. You may lack a sense of purpose and direction and not be able to use your intuition or gut feeling as a good intuitive guidance system. Because this chakra governs digestion, there can even be digestion issues and even anger issues from power imbalances that affect you physically here. The third chakra relates to instinct. It's why we do, what drives us. Some signs that this chakra is out of balance is, do you lack confidence and self-esteem? Are you fixated on competition or success? Do you overcompensate due to your lack of self-esteem? Are you reclusive and lack confidence in groups? Do you feel unable to change your situation? If this chakra is out of balance, you may suffer from low confidence in groups and doubt in your ability to have a clear sense of purpose and direction in your life. And it represents the fire in our belly. So it's about motivation, energy, and balance. And we can work with the energy here by asking about questions about our power, how power plays out. So you can ask yourself, how is power manifesting in my life? How do my thinking patterns represent the element of fire? Do I think too much or am I indifferent? So power, confidence, pride, and brilliance. It's all about managing our ability to handle ourselves in difficult situations. It can lead us to say things like, I'm feeling frazzled, or, I feel hot-tempered. These can be part of our everyday vocabulary, but we know internally how we feel fired up, or we can lack fire in our life, which means we can lack motivation and drive. So how do we heal or transform through this aspect? If somebody's struggling with an over or underactive power aspect, it's key for them to work with how they can get more motivation in their life. This can be done through practical exercises such as setting or working towards goals with a clear plan or a clear structure in place. Whereas if someone has an overactive power, they may need to explore some anti-stress techniques. So help them bring calm, patience, and acceptance into their life. This aspect represents who we are in life and how we interact with the physical world. It's about our unique individuality and the impression we leave upon the world with our attitudes and actions. The power aspects governs the digestive system, the stomach, small intestine, the liver, the pancreas, and it really is an area of transformation. And like I've said, when it's out of balance, you'll know, because there'll be issues with self-worth, identity, purpose, motivation, and drive. And we can have a strong inner critic that can really put us off striving for anything. It's important you listen to the inner critic of your client and help them become an inner coach. So become an inner coach instead of an inner critic. Is your inner critic getting in the way of your dreams? The inner critic or inner judge is simply a term used to describe our internal negative self-talk. It's part of the human condition to engage in negative self-talk, as it's the job of the brain to alert us to danger and to keep us safe from harm. The problem is when the inner critic stands in our way and impedes our ability to go for our dreams, to realize our full potential. The inner critic exercise, which you'll find in the material section, helps clients to identify and isolate the inner negative voice that manifests itself in limiting beliefs. It is true, at times the inner critic serves as a useful role in helping us recognize that which we could improve, but it's only useful if this is a welcoming, conscious choice. The problem is that most people can't turn their inner critic off, and the inner critic ends up running the show. It basically can take over somebody's life, and it stops them developing a growth mindset whereby a person can learn from the mistakes and move on. Being moderately critical can be useful, but an overuse can really hinder development. An inner critical voice can be formed out of painful early life experiences in which we absorb the negative or hurtful attitudes that were directed towards us or to those around us, and we can absorb it. As we grow up, we unconsciously integrate this destructive thought pattern towards ourselves and others, so we can become fearful of being criticized by others. If we fail to identify and separate ourselves from this inner critic, our behavior and choices become impacted, which in turn shape the direction of our lives. If strong enough, it may sabotage our relationships, our success, and ultimately prevent us from living the life we want to lead and becoming the person we want to be. So how can we challenge this inner voice? How can we recognize that it is separate from us? And how can we change its effect on us? We all have voices that echo inside our head. Some of them are helpful and some of them are hurtful. The hurtful voice is sometimes called the self-critic or inner critic or pathological critic. That was taken from the Positive Psychology Toolkit, Eliot, 1992. The function of the inner critic is both to prevent the individual from making mistakes and to motivate towards ideals. In principle, the goals of the inner critic can be considered as important for optimal human functioning. It's designed to keep us safe physically and psychologically, although it does in some maladaptive ways. By identifying and understanding our judger voice and its motivations, we can learn to appreciate it and help it to be calmer while still listening to the valuable information that it offers. So let's take a look at our strengths now and how we can help a client utilize the strengths to push them forward, even though they may have an inner critic and some self-doubt and limiting beliefs. So what makes us strong and virtuous? There has always been a huge interest for psychologists in studying and identifying human strengths. It's become the backbone of positive psychology because it's something they could work on developing with their clients. In the early 2000s, something groundbreaking occurred in the social sciences. Scientists discovered a common language of 24 character strengths that make up what's best about our personality. Everyone possesses all 24 character strengths in different degrees, so each person has a truly unique character profile. Each character strength falls under one of the 6 broad virtue categories, which are universal across cultures and nations. So please see the full character strengths list that is in the materials section, and it's used with permission from the viacharacter.org. Supporting clients to use their strengths to overcome challenges and limiting beliefs is made easier when playing to strengths, as we're using what already energizes us. Clients are more likely to overcome obstacles if they know what their strengths are and then develop awareness by playing to those strengths, especially when the going gets tough. Focusing on what energizes us can help individuals to refocus on the positive and boost performance levels to ensure those successful outcomes. Something else that's researched in positive psychology is stress-related growth. It's possible to view stressful events in our lives in a positive way by considering the positive impact they've had on our growth. For example, the end of a marriage could be seen as providing someone with the opportunity to develop new relationships with those who are helpful. It can help someone to let go of their attachment to something that they used to have. If a client you're working with has experienced a stressful event recently or is suffering from attachments that they're holding on to, the stress-related growth exercise can be helpful in helping them to find the personal growth that they've experienced as a consequence. For many practitioners, coaching and strength finding it has become a synonymous process. The coaching process is often built on the premise that the coaching client has many resources to close the gap between where he or she is at in the present moment and where he or she wants to be in the future. Taken from Whitworth, 1998. Unfortunately, identifying and acknowledging one's own unique strengths can be difficult. For many cultures view this behaviour as being boastful. Taken from Biswas Diner, Dean, 2007. According to Peterson and Siegelman, 2004, too few opportunities exist in today's societies for people to use their best qualities or strengths. So you can have a go and download your character strengths assessment. It's free to do through the via.org. You should find a link in the materials section. And you also have a great exercise for the inner critic as well to be getting along with.